My camera's not working on OBS. Hang on. My camera was just working on OBS. What's the problem here? That's the problem here. Okay. That means I'm going to need to do this. Deactivate, activate, and hopefully fix it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. And
Your Discord one is glitched.
Yeah. Why is this one not working properly? Okay, perfect. There we go. Perfect. Okay, we're working now. Fab. All right. Oh, the freaking. Hang on. Meh. Why is this one now not working? Okay, hang on. What?
Always the webcam.
Camera issues are just the worst. What is happening right now? Okay, hang on. Let's just do this. Do this. And then... camera. Deactivate. Activate. Okay, the classic turn it off and on again. Does that now work? No, it doesn't work. Why does it not work? Oh, that's why. Okay. Yes. Okay, we're working. Finally. Okay. Oh my goodness. Tech issues. There'll always be tech issues. Okay. Hello, YouTube. Hello, people in the audience. And hi, Angelic. How are we doing today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. How has practice been going? How's your voice been?
I'll be completely honest. I haven't done any training. I've had a very stressful 2 weeks. A lot of stuff going on. But I was just doing some training earlier before the lesson, and
no
it seemed okay.
Yeah, no problem. And in terms of, excuse me, is that just this couple of weeks thing, or do we need to review how we do practice to try and see if we can make it easier for you?
No, I just had some things going on with friends and whatnot, but
yeah,
it's sort of sorted out now. So
okay, that's fine. If it's just a temporary thing, then I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So, okay, am I right in thinking that last time we worked on some size stuff we were doing with cheeses? Is that right?
Yeah, cheeses.
Yeah, no worries. All right, we'll start with warm up and we'll see how you're doing with cheese. Okay. If you want to just do as I do. That's okay.
Sorry.
Try and relax for it.
Oh my days, hang on. What?
Do this. That'll help you.
Sorry.
Use the tricks to help you. Help stabilize it. Good job. then maximum range with high and low. Lovely. Okay, and then up to the top for a siren. Okay, and then the same thing going down. Nice. Okay, perfect. So, let's have a little listen to how your size stuff has been going. Do you want me to demo the cheese thing first, or do you want to go straight into
it? If you just demo one, please.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what we're looking to do is we're whispering cheese, and we're taking it from that larger sound, kind of like the big dog, little dog, to the smaller sound, okay? Then we're going to a phonation test, into them talking. Cheese. And then we try to continue that in our voice as we go into some talking. And you'll just be talking about whatever. Yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Fab. And then to give you a topic, why don't we go into... it's my usual review. Got any cool cooking stuff you've been doing? Give me some chefy stuff.
Okay. There's not a lot going on, but I can try and come up with some.
That's okay. It'll give me an idea of where we're at right now.
Cheese.
Okay.
So I've been working a lot at college, and well, we've just been on half term, but during half term I've been working a lot, and I've had long weekends at work, and it's not been too busy. It's been quite relaxed, so it's not been too bad.
Okie dokie then. Right. I think we've got some stuff going on with the mouth there. I'm not hearing a huge size change. We mainly went really quiet there. So let's have another little go. Take some more time on the whispered cheeses, so we can make, and then slow down your bridging into the phonation, so we can try and bridge that in and try to keep that same sound change as we go into a phonation test. Okay. Yeah, so let's go through them again and try and slow them down a bit. And to give you, okay, what's the topic we can actually talk about for a little bit? I don't know. Why don't you tell me what you've been up to since last lesson? Just generally, what's happening in Angelic's life that's fun?
Yeah.
Cheese.
So, I've tried to organise a 3-course dinner with my friends where I'm going to be cooking for them. And I'm going to serve bread upon arrival, and I'm just waiting to get the time off work verified.
Okay. All right. We're getting a little bit of move. If you listen to those cheeses, we're getting some. We're starting off nice and large. We're getting a little bit of shrinkage, but we're not getting a ton. Do you reckon we can go for some smaller cheeses and like really try to get those cheeses like as small as we can get? I'm wanting like a cheese. Get that really small sound.
Yeah, I can give it a go.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Oh, hang on.
Cheese.
Smaller. Okay, we're getting stuck there. Let's see if we can take a look at what was happening. So first of all, as we go into that, are you feeling anything in your body anywhere? Just anything at all.
Apart from just feeling my pitch raise, no. But then we're not working on pitch, are we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, none of this is really a pitch change. Tell me more about what you're feeling and where you're feeling it there, because there shouldn't be a huge sensation change.
I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to make it as high as I can.
Okay. And when you say make it as high as you can, is that are you trying to move something, or are you just focusing on the sound itself?
I'd say I'm just focusing more on the sound.
Okay, cool. Okay then, if you're not feeling anything really happening body-wise, then that's totally fine. What else could be causing a little block here? Let's try, let's see what happens if we use, instead of word cheese, I just want to see what happens if we use the word, we'll go cat. So, okay, that's getting a bit smaller. Okay, let's try the trill again, using cat instead, and we'll see how that does for you.
Okay.
And you can tell me about this 3-course meal that you did.
Cat. So, for the starter, I'm reusing a starter that we did at college to show off what I'm doing at college to my friends. Mm-hmm. Which is going to be asparagus with a poached egg hollandaise, with a garlic aioli and a chive oil.
Okay. All right. So what I mostly noticed here was we had our drill. Remembering the phonation test, by the way. Start off in the whisper and switch into phonation halfway through. So it would be like cat. Where we're bringing that phonation halfway through.
Okay.
Other than that, though, the phonation test was pretty decent. But we had a big drop as we went into some talking. It was a sort of like cat. And then we started talking like this, where we had a big drop again. So let's see if we can try to keep that same smallness that you get in the phonation test and bring that in to our into our talking. Spend a little time at that phonation test and just like listening to it, so you can sort of anticipate what your next words are going to sound like if they were to maintain that same sound change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, give that a go.
Still with cat.
Yeah, we'll stick with cat for now.
Yeah. Okay. Cat. So, with the 3-course dinner, I'm going to be serving focaccia with a tomato and basil butter, and as they arrive, that'll be served on the table. Then to follow their starter.
Okay. That's getting better. All right, I think we just need to keep practicing this now. I'm still wanting us to get smaller if we can, but we'll keep working on this to build that dexterity in. So let's keep going with cats. I think we definitely want to be watching those drops, because I think we are having some drops. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we really want to be watching those drops. So I'm thinking spend a bit more time on the cats. As you get to that like smallest cat that you're able to do at the moment, spend a moment on it. Like again, what I was saying with phonation to the speaking, same thing here. Listen to that whispered cat at its smallest state that you're able to do right now. Imagine it if you were talking while keeping that same smallness. And then try to, again, imagine, once you've gone through the phonation test, imagine what that will sound like as you go into the rest of your talking, to try and prepare you for the sound you're about to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Cool. And yeah, take your time with it to try and really get as small as you can before moving into the phonation test. And okay, you've done your starter. Main course.
Okay. Cat. So for the main course, I'm using the duck breast, which I recently done with my exam, to once again bring something from college to them. So I'm going to be doing fondant potato, confit carrots, tender stem broccoli, and red wine choux.
Okay. There's something else coming in here. Can I figure out exactly what it is? Is your... How do I put this? When you go into the drill, do you feel anything different happening in your mouth when you're using the drill? If that makes sense to question. As opposed to normal speech.
Apart from getting wider,
Okay.
it starts wider and then.
Mm-hmm. And when we say
That's
wider,
like with the,
is that more like smile
explaining
kind of wider?
the big dog.
Is it like this kind of a wide? Is that wider? As opposed to like this?
I think the second one. I don't know. I think it's just because like with the big dog and little dog sort of thing.
Yeah. So
I feel like I'm obviously speaking louder or wider.
Okay, so when I'm hearing wider, that's making me think mainly smile configuration. Do you feel like you're smiling all the time as you're trying to talk? When you're doing the smaller sound?
No.
No. Okay. Tell me more about this wider then.
That's just the start, like the wider one, the beginning of it. But the smaller one, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
So the wider you're saying is the
I don't know.
wider of the larger cats, yeah, and then that goes away in the small cats.
Yeah.
And is that wideness there in your default voice? In your unmodified?
Yeah, no.
No. Okay.
Sometimes
so
I feel like it is.
Okay. So it's mainly something that's coming
isn't.
in when we do the big, and then going away again as you go small again.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably not too worried about that then, but I'm going to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, it's probably explained really badly as well.
No, it's okay. I'm still not quite getting what you mean by wide. I'm not sure what it is that's widening, but I'll keep it on my mind. Go on.
My mouth gets wider. Like I feel like I have more of a an accent, I guess, like a more British accent sort of thing.
That's okay. That's what I feel like I'm hearing change, but I'm hearing I'm hearing an accent change as we're going into that smaller sound, which I'm trying to identify, and I'm worried that that's throwing us off from getting the smallness we're actually looking for. Because my concern is if you have a little bit of a conflation here, where we're muddling up these two things, then as you maximize the other thing, you then think that, I can't go any further, even though actually we're trying to be changing something totally different, which can be going way further. And I'm worried that's where we're getting that little wall. Okay. Do you think you can intentionally do that wider sound? Like if I asked you to just speak a sentence with that wider sound, do you reckon you can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, alright. Give me a listen.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I think I sound like this, and it sounds obnoxious and more of a very, a big accent.
Okay. That is just, a very thick accent coming through.
Yeah.
I would suspect there could be, ooh, okay. If I tell you to do the word pour, does pour have a wider thing
Right.
going on as we're using it right now, as we're using the term.
Poor.
Is that a wider word?
No.
No.
Poor.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I'm trying to put a finger on this wideness thing. Because it could be your mouth size that's moving. Because part of what you did there in that little accent thing was a larger oral space. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that's happening here.
I think it might just be the accent thing. Just me thinking I have more of an accent. Which
Yeah, definitely in that, like, what
I
you
guess
just showed me
sort of
wasn't
matters,
a decent
but
accent. What was that, sorry?
I mean, does it matter? I mean, I guess it does, obviously, because
Yeah, so
you don't want
it's
to be
not that
changing your
it
accent.
matters in and of itself. It's that it matters if you're muddling it with size, because we want size to be able to be moved on its own. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So, okay. Because what I'm thinking is basically, you're saying that when you go for that larger sound, you're adding more of X thing, that wide thing, and when you're going for the smaller sound, you're removing that wide thing, which means there's a thing being manipulated that's unrelated. And so when you reach the maximum of that thing, you're thinking, I can't go any further with smallness, even though actually you could go way further with smallness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's my
Maybe.
suspicion.
I do feel like my voice will break if I go at a certain point.
Ah, okay. Break in what way? As in
Well,
like
not
a...
break, but
I know what you mean. Like a higher pitch kind of thing?
yeah.
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 Okay. All right. A pitch conflation is something very, very common and something we can look at for a bit. So, okay. All right. Let's go for our cats again. And this time, I don't know if you've done this before. I'm looking for a tune that is very, very intuitive to you, that you just like have like drilled into your brain. For a lot of people, it's a Mario theme.
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah, have we done something like that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're going to do that again. Because I want to make sure we get this pitch conflation like tackled. Because it will cause you further issues down the line. So, cats into a Mario theme. And let's see how that goes.
As high as I can go.
Yeah, as bright as you can go. But remember, high
Okay.
is not pitch going high. I avoid using the word high so you don't muddle the two up. So as small or as bright as you can go with those cats.
Okay.
Cat, 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 cat. Da 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 da.
Okay, in that one, do you hear how there's like a whispery quality to your voice after you've left the whispers?
Yeah.
We're kind of like ka 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 da 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 da. If we can avoid that and get into like proper speech, like the whisper is one thing, and then we're no longer whispering, we're just talking. So like cat, where I'm no longer whispering, I'm now just talking. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Cat, 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 cat. Da 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 da.
Okay. See, I'm not hearing a huge pitch conflation there. But again, we had a huge... We didn't get nearly as small as I'm sure we can. So let's try. Small as you can possibly go. And then when you enter it, I want you to try to enter at a lower pitch on the phonation test. So like... Cat, where I have that lower pitch, but I have that really bright sound. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay? So smallest cat you can manage, all right? And then when you enter, low pitch, keeping that same smallness though. All right?
Okay. I think I know.
If you struggle and you find you can only enter a higher pitch, do that, but then like go down a note at a time. Like if it goes like to get yourself down again.
Okay.
Cat, 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 cat,
Okay. Big drop in that size there. Big drop. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Try again then.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, sorry. So you heard that big drop, so we're going to try again and see if we can not have a big drop while having the pitch go low. Yeah? So I want that size to stay small and the pitch to be the thing that goes down. Better. Better. Now we have that whispery thing coming back. We've got a couple of things sneaking in here. We need to try and do a bit of whack-a-mole and get them all. So now we want to make sure that we don't have that whispery quality. Still, your size was a much better size there. There was still a slight drop, but it was much less of a drop. We just had that whispery quality coming still through the voice. So let's see if we can tackle both of these things. Yeah?
Okay.
All right. Have another go.
Oh, I didn't start with.
That's okay.
But hang on, I'll just start again on that one.
Okay, better. Can we get smaller? That was good though. Can we get smaller? Okay. Alright. I'll work with that for now. Go through again and tell me about, I assume third course was dessert?
Yeah.
Hells yeah, it was.
So for the dessert, I've done a take on a milfoy where I'm going to do a hazelnut chocolate ganache inside with chantilly cream, so it will taste like a Kinder Bueno. At least that's what the idea is. And then I'm going to serve honeycomb ice cream on the side.
Okay. I'm gonna add in a new drill. This might not help you, and it might help you. I just kind of want to see what it does, because I'm definitely suspecting some oral fuckery. Okay, stuff's happening in your mouth that we don't need to have coming in, and I think it's partly we're getting a larger mouth sound. I'm also wondering, am I hearing a bit of a lisp coming through? Like if is our sound kind of going a little bit like it? I'm not very good at imitating a lisp, but I guess. No offense to anyone with a lisp.
I think I know what I mean.
I'm hearing a little bit of a lispy quality coming through, just a little bit. But I wanna try to avoid us happening that. So let's try going through the drill, and then into the phonation test. And then as you start speaking, we're gonna add like an extra layer. Okay, instead of a merry theme, we're gonna have it's literally the sentence E speaking from E. Okay, we'll practice that now on its own first. So if you want to go E speaking from E, you'll find that you're partly it's going to have you smiling. We'll ignore that, okay, because you're making an E sound. But beyond that, further in, okay, we're going to have a slightly smaller oral space, and you might even feel something happening further back. You probably won't notice the feeling though. The point is we're trying to get the small sound that comes from E and try to maintain it through our voice as we talk. Do you hear how I went E and then I tried to continue that into my voice, and now I have this like slightly different voice to how I had it before, where it's like an extra step up of brightness. Did you notice that? So okay if you don't yet?
No, I do, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, alright. Let's try E speaking from E on its own first, just to see if you can get the draw, and then we'll try layering.
So, do I start with the cats or
just literally just say the sentence E speaking from E and try to maintain that same smallness that it provides. Okay? It's larger than E sounds that provide that smallness.
E speaking from E. This is how it sounds. How I'm talking with E.
Okay. Okay, I think that is working. I'm hearing it was only a small amount, but we did get a little bit of extra brightness there. So what I want us to do now is go through your cats, then the phonation test, and then where we were doing the Mario theme, we'll take that out now, and we'll do the E speaking from E. Okay? And really try to maintain that same smallness as we go through. Okay, so like right now I'm sounding like this. E speaking from E. Right now I'm sounding like this. With that little boost coming in of extra smallness. So let's have a go with that, because I think that might also fix some of our other stuff. It also might not. I'm just experimenting with it.
Yeah.
We'll give it a go.
Okay.
Cat.
E speaking from E. This is how I sound when I'm talking from E.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're still getting some largeness in there that needs to be having stuff done with. Okay. So I'm trying to find this sound change, and I'm struggling to find it. Because you're not feeling anything happening different, which would usually be our alarm bell, that something is changing. But for the sound to be changing in ways that aren't the size, but you also don't feel it, that's pretty odd. So it's partly going to just be us experimenting with stuff until we find it. I think I did some, but I don't think it tackled the thing we wanted it to tackle. So I'm going to leave that one aside for now. And we might come back to it in a future lesson. Okay, let's try it this way. All right, go through the drill again. This time, just go through the cats and the phonation test. And we're just going to pay attention to a part of the body at a time, and we'll see if we can identify what's happening. So first thing, if you go through the cats into the phonation test, do you feel that your tongue is trying to do something specific? Like, are you finding your tongue is doing anything weird? Is there any tension there? Anything like that?
Okay.
Cat.
Sorry, am I going from the E speaking from E?
Yeah, we're leaving that alone for now. I'll possibly take that back in a future lesson, but I don't think that's the thing that we're trying to look for right now.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of going through different like parts of your body to see if we can figure out where this, where this sound change is coming through, because something's coming in, and I'm really struggling to find where it is, because it sounds like you're not getting much physical feedback from it. So we're going to focus on like one part of your vocal anatomy at a time and see if you feel anything weird happening.
Yeah.
We'll start with the tongue.
Okay.
These, I suspect, mouth things.
Cat.
No, I don't think there's any difference with tongue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't think there's any difference with tongue. Okay. Okay. Because we didn't have as much of it coming in that time as well, which tells us either something or nothing. All right, let's try going through it again, and let's just see how small you can get with those cats.
Cat. This is me talking in my highest voice I can go, and trying to make it smaller and brighter.
Okay. Yeah, we're learning something there. Remember, highest voice you can go, differentiate this from pitch. So we have a pitch going high, and we have a size getting smaller. Just so I don't want you muddling those two things up. Let's try. I want you to try. Let's replace the word with pot. I want to see what happens.
Okay.
I'm trying a whole bunch of different things there.
Yeah, yeah. No, why not?
Pot. No, this is still, I feel,
Maybe
maybe a little bit more bright.
That was interesting. What you just did was something like that, where you went straight into that falsetto, and then you went,
Yeah.
oh, and then kind of back into this kind of voice we've been having. When you were trying to fix that kind of falsetto thing that happened, which is interesting. I think when we did do that falsetto thing, we actually got that smallness I've been looking for here, which is very interesting. So, this could all come down to a maybe a mechanism conflation, where you're conflating M1 and M2 with changes in size, that being like falsetto versus not falsetto. It could still all come down to a pitch thing that's kind of being masked a little bit. So let's go again. Again, as small as you can get, remembering that smallness is a very different thing from pitch. So again, like the sound change we're looking for is which is all the same pitch, whereas a pitch change is you can hear all those like changing notes there. Yeah, okay, so as small as we can go, and try to very quickly. Are you able to just produce falsetto real quick? Like, are you able to just talk like this a little bit?
I can try, but from here, this is the highest I can go.
That's you going for... Is that you going for a falsetto or a small sound?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Falsetto.
So when you just tried when you just tried to show me falsetto, you gave me the exact same voice that we've been getting for the small size stuff. So this, I think this might be where our issue is. Okay. We found it. All right. Can you do a Mickey Mouse impression? Okay. Oh, I'm Mickey Mouse. This is me talking kind of like Mickey Mouse does.
Oh, I'm Mickey Mouse. This is me talking like Mickey Mouse.
I want to get that. Oh.
Oh,
Try talking like that.
oh, I'm Mickey Mouse.
Not quite. Okay, we'll try trilling up to it. All right, lip trill, all the way up to the top, and then we're just going to open our mouths, but keep the sound there. It'll be like...
Hang on.
Good. That's your M2, your falsetto. Okay, try again.
With the Mickey Mouse or trill?
Do the lip trill again, and hold the note for a little bit once you opened your mouth. Okay, same thing. Do a little bit of talking during that. Tell me, it doesn't need to be much, tell me about your favourite film.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh my days, hang on.
Take your time with it.
My favourite film is We Live in Time.
Bye.
That was perfect.
It's really hard to hold.
Okay, if I was to say, can you tell how that's like a different type of voice to your normal voice?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. That different type is called M2, okay? Whereas your normal is called M1. Science behind that, you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so do you feel how that's a very different thing to... well, no, don't worry about it. Okay, now I want you to do that same... We'll go all the way back to the cats, okay? Avoid that M2 that we just did, yeah? And if you find yourself in that M2, like you've just done there, where you turned off your M2, just turn it off again.
Okay.
All right.
So this is me trying to talk without the M2, with a lighter sound.
Okay. We're getting somewhere. All right, cool. Let's try this. Can we go through our cats? And then from there, Now that we've done those M2, M1s, by the way, do you reckon you can just do an M2, even if it's not for long? Or do you still feel you
straight away? Or...
Not quite, at M1. Try the trill again?
Yeah.
We'll spend a little time on this first. We shouldn't skip. Okay, good. Now, let's go through the trill. Do it again, and then turn it off, and then go back again. So... Good. Perfect. That was perfect. Okay. Now go cold into the.
What? Hang on.
Not quite.
I still feel those.
No. Okay. Go into the trill again.
Sorry.
That was a high one. Okay. Let's do this for a little bit then. And just back and forth a few times. See if we can get some control.
Okay.
That's cool. You're doing like a scale going downwards. Okay. All right. Again, from the lip trill.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. I don't need them to sound good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a few bits of homework, and then we'll do some more practice. Yeah. So I'm worried that we have a mechanism conflation with size. All right. Because what I'm hearing in your voice is, I'm struggling to get you to get that small size, but every so often you actually do manage to get it. And when you do, you always go into M2 when you do your cheese, okay? Like when we get that cheese, it then goes cheese. Like you really struggle to get that happening without it also going to M2. So I think those are muddled up.
Yeah.
So the plan is, let's get you good at M2 to M1 to M, like get you good at mechanism switches, just so that you're able to do either of them at command. So that then we'll go back to that, okay? Get that smallest we can possibly go, okay? And if it goes into M2, we just go back into M1 because we know how to do that, yeah? So again, it would be cheese. And then we continue like that, trying to maintain that same smallness. That's my goal. Okay?
Okay.
All right. This is probably going to be a really tricky one to conflate, by the way. So, like, it'll take some time. All right. Back into the trills. Going into trills, bringing you up into falsetto or M2. And then you coming out of it intentionally and then going back in intentionally. And what we were doing before, we were switching back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. And now do on cold, or attempt to. Getting better. Okay, can you do that again but higher pitch? Lost it there, and that was lower pitch. Okay, we're losing it now. That's okay. And just to check something, can we do the lip trill, but as an ah? Okay, like That's it. Ah. Did you feel that change? And did you hear that as a very significant change?
A little bit, yeah.
Again? Okay, slide up again.
Hang on, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll do that one again.
It's okay if we have that happening in between, by the way. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's just because you're not practiced in it. Good, good. Okay. Slide back up into there again and do a little bit of talking just to get used to that M2.
Okay.
So this is how I talk with M2.
Good,
And-
good. And then bring it out of it into again.
And this is how I. Do you want me to wait? Do you want me to carry it on?
Yeah. So okay. Here's what we'll do. Your topic can be. You told me your favorite film, and I've already forgotten what it was. I'm very sorry. I was too focused on your voice.
That's okay.
So, slide up. Okay, just with a normal slide. Start talking at M2, and then switch to M1, and to continue talking. And we'll, like throughout you telling me about this film, we're going to switch back and forth between M1 and M2. Try to do at least like twice a sentence. Like we're really, a few words M2, few words M1, few words M2. Like really back and forth it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Give it a go. Tell me about this film.
So it's.
That's okay. Try again. If you ever lose it and you feel like you don't know how to control it anymore, just slide again.
Yeah.
It's a film starring Florence Pugh and.
Ooh, pause.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
big.
Good. Okay. You being able to tell is really, really good. That's huge. All right. Try again.
It's a film about Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield where they are in a relationship and Florence Pugh is a chef and
they have some relationship
Okay, keep going.
issues.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're struggling to go back in. Okay. So that's going to be our big focus. Because playing around with all of this, we're getting sounds that I was hearing in the sides drill, and we're getting a lot of muddling up of stuff. So I think this is definitely something for us to be working on. I feel like I am hearing as well. I feel like I am hearing some of this happening where, like you can see, I've got like a wider mouth, and it's not smiling because I'm not having that extra closure in my mouth. It's like a large mouth. Does that make sense? Like a large mouth smile.
I think so, yeah.
I'm sure I'm hearing that in your voice. It definitely feels like a smile, but with your mouth more open as you're doing it. I'm so sure I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
In fact, let's just check if I was right there, just because I really want to know.
Okay.
Go through your cats again and just look out for, do you feel yourself smiling? Even if it's like a mouth open smile, where it's kind of like this or something. Might not look that dramatic, but...
Okay.
cat. And this is how I sound when I'm talking with the cat drill.
Yeah, is our mouth more open than usual there? I'm so sure it is, but like, I mean, you feel you're there.
Yeah, I think it is.
It is. Okay. Good to know. I was so sure. We're nearing the end of the lesson, but do I want to touch on that for a bit? I don't want to overwhelm you with homework either. Let me think for a second. Do the same with cheeses?
Cheese. And this is how I sound with doing the cheese drill.
Yeah, we still have what I'm hearing to be a large open mouth, which is more so than...
I didn't feel it as much that time.
You didn't feel as much that time? Okay, that's good. That's to be expected, because cheese, as opposed to... If we look at the actual words themselves, cat is a very large open mouth sound, whereas cheese is a very small mouth sound. However, what I'm trying to target here isn't anything to do with your mouth. It's all like down here. Your mouth shouldn't be doing anything different. No, you're fine, Fiona. Because you're in the audience, no sound comes from you. Okay. We have 2 minutes. I want to do some more stuff. No, we've got a bit longer because I've got to fix tech. Okay. Think for a second. What happens if we use the word pick? Like a guitar pick or whatever.
Right, okay.
Pick. This is how I sound when I'm trying to use pick.
Less of a large mouth sound, but we still have some of this going on where we have a bit of a lisp. Which makes me think tongue stuff. We've got a lot going on in our mouths, Angelic. You're doing a lot of mouth stuff. I think what's happening here, and I think why I'm getting confused as we're going, is, and this is really common, your voice is doing a kind of whack-a-mole thing, okay? Where we fix one thing, and so it does something else. And then we fix that, and then something else pops up. And then we fix that, and something else pops up. So it's like trying to follow the path. So what I'm going to... Okay. Homework. You've got 2 pieces of homework, okay? First one is that going in and out of mechanisms, because I do think we have a conflation here somewhere that I want you to address. So going in and out of mechanism, that M1, M2 drill that we just did, have a play with that, all right? You can slide up and then just go back and forth between the two. Eventually the goal is to be able to do that without the slide, all right? But use the slide to teach you it. Other thing is we're going to be doing those cheeses, but it's not just going to be cheese. The idea of cheese is it's just a word with E in the middle of it. A small, short word with E in the middle.
Yeah.
Really what I'm going for is just ease, okay? And making cheese makes it easier for people to not change it. So what we're going for is pick words with differing vowels. So cheese can be one, pat can be one, kit can be one, or what did I go for? Pick. It could be kit, it could be tick, whatever. Pot, okay? Put, things like that, okay? And I want you to try practicing with each of these, because they're all going to require different sounds from your mouth, and like try them as you go through the talking, like include the talking bit is what I'm saying. Try them individually as like different iterations of the same drill. The idea being they all are going to have different mouth things going on. The only thing that remains consistent as we go through all of those different vowel sounds is the change in larynx, okay? So like that thing that we're trying to get would be the only thing that maintains consistent through those. So I'm hoping by changing the vowel continuously, you're going to teach yourself that the actual thing you're learning and that you're changing is just that size change, the larynx height specifically. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Any questions so far? Because we've gone over a lot today.
No, I think I do just need to practice it more and listen to it back.
Yeah. I think practicing is going to be a
big
big
one. On
that.
I'm definitely going to try and practice more than I have done.
I mean, like, I get it. Things happen. Like, it's fine. Don't worry. If practice is an issue, do let me know, because like there are ways that we can like work through this and try to make practice more a part of your. There's a little band from Gugu, and bro, Gugu, you clicked, so okay. Little band there, little delete message there. Okay, cool. In fact, sorry chat, we're just going to do a quick clearing of chat just to make sure that we have no bullshit on screen. So essentially, what was I? Oh, we didn't even have chat on screen. Lol, doesn't really matter. Practicing those. If you're having issues with practice as like a consistent thing, let me know, because like there are ways we can make practice easier on ourselves and work it into our lives more efficiently. So just if that is a struggle, if it's going to be a long-term struggle, just let me know. We'll work through it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll go for it.
Someone's put in Discord chat. I actually used to do that before doing this. I don't know if that's good or not.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. It's totally fine doing that. I don't think that's necessarily going to help us with this because I think the main issue is a conflation. So trying to like add pitch into the equation while doing stuff is going to increase conflation. But what you can play around with, Angelic, is just moving around those whispers a lot more and really gaining some control there. You could try singing along to a song while whispering, because remember, when you actually change stuff there, pitch doesn't come into the equation. Because when we're whispering, we can't manipulate our true vocal folds. They can't produce pitch. So what you're actually hearing is a change in vocal tract size. Our larynx is moving up and down, basically. So you could play around with that if you wanted to, like sing along to in the radio on sing along the car on radio or whatever, but whispering it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. So for next lesson, should I just throw in for 2 weeks' time? That would be the 16th.
1 second. Sorry.
Take your time. And if you do need to change your timing, that's totally fine.
No, at the moment that's completely fine.
Sounds good.
Whether my college comes up with some thing that I don't know, they're terrible at letting us know stuff sometimes. So
yeah, that's fine. Well, just if there's an issue, like just shoot me a message in a DM. Sorry, in the ticket, and we'll sort it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fab. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then I will see you in a couple of weeks then, Angelic.
Yeah.
Fab. All right. I'll see you next time then.
All right. Thanks.
No worries. For everyone in Discord right now, if you're listening in and you want to continue, we're going to be heading over to YouTube. So if you want to join us, youtube.com/trans_network. I'll see you there. Cool. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Okay, and hello, YouTube. Yes, so the focus on that lesson was basically, you could hear in her voice, there was a very clear, like the change what we're trying to achieve is the change of like, oh, okay? But you could hear there was some accent things coming in, which shouldn't be necessary. There was some, I'm sure there was some lisp coming in sometimes, but it was inconsistent. And again, a lot of what was changing, the thing that changed kept changing. So like we had the accent going weird, we had that mouth size getting weird, with like that kind of larger sound coming in. We had like the smile being in and out. We had a whole variety of things coming in there. So it's just a matter of like putting a finger on it. But I noticed whenever they did the falsetto switch, they also had a bunch of those things coming in. So if it's a conflation of falsetto, then at least we can deal with that. Also, the times when it sounded good, it came in with that falsetto. So yeah, I think that's the best place to focus for now. And that was why I structured the lesson that way. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to pop to the toilet real quick. I'll be right back. We're going to talk about it. Okie dokie. Hey. Alright, let's get my screen in a easier place for me to look at stuff. And let's head over to here. Hello. Yes, apologies for all the full stops. We had a little bit of a troll coming in. So dealt with all of that. Imagine coming in, complaining that trans stuff is on your homepage, as if that isn't a clear sign that YouTube clearly thinks you're into trans stuff, okay? So, like, I don't know, bud. Maybe YouTube is trying to tell you something there. Okie dokie. Also, yeah, super temporary actors coming in. Super welcome to have, like, non-trans people, you know, or cis people, I suppose, coming in and listening in and learning. It's cool to have you here. Hey, Anna. Yeah, lol indeed. I have no idea what that person's problem was. Weird person. I did delete it, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, yeah, it just doesn't delete it on my preview. Yeah, hey. So, all right, I don't have a huge plan for the stream today. So what topics do we have to go over? And obviously, if you have any questions about the lesson we just did, absolutely ask them. Because yeah, it was a trickier lesson. Trying to pinpoint what we should be targeting with this like amorphous changing thing that's happening, and with her not really being aware of like any sensation change. Because normally when a conflation comes in, a really good way to identify it is like, okay, well the sound is changing, which means something in your anatomy is causing that. Let's listen to your body for a minute. What do we feel? So when we get a response of not really feeling much of anything, that becomes super confusing. It doesn't give us anything to work off. Because usually the only things that you're not going to feel much are these subtle things that we're doing to change the gender presentation of a voice. So like for some of the... I should have gone over this earlier. Being as we had a cis person here and people that potentially don't know much about voice training, a lot of what we're doing in voice training is stuff that like it doesn't affect your voice in any other way other than the gendering. You can do stuff to impact further stuff, but that's like a thing that would be a choice that you make as an individual. But we're going to be looking at main things being what testosterone has actually done to the vocal tract during puberty. So you would have your larynx, this little box of cartilage, that's going to be dropping down and it's going to be expanding, which is going to create a sound more like this. So now all that's happening in my voice is my larynx has moved downwards, and you can see if you look at the Adam's apple there, if I move it back up, now you can hear my voice has returned to normal. Okay. And then the other big thing happening, which I've already covered with Angelic before, and they've already gotten good at it, is weight stuff. So the other thing that happens with your vocal folds, your voice, when you have testosterone exposure in puberty, is the vocal folds themselves start to thicken up a bit. Like literally, like, you know, there's your vocal fold, it gets like thicker, yeah? And that thickening creates a sort of buzz as you're talking, okay? So that kind of sounds like this. So we have that increased buzziness coming in, which is that heavier vocal weight being caused by thicker vocal folds, which we can then learn to basically change that behavior so we don't have as much mass coming into it. So if I bring those both together, we could have that lower larynx and that heavier voice. So now we have a more typically masculine voice, but by removing that buzziness again and then raising up the larynx, we can get our feminized voice. So because we're just doing these subtle changes that are all happening in this area, nothing here should be changing, okay? So the pronunciation of your words shouldn't be changing, the accent shouldn't be changing, basically nothing in your mouth should be changing. You may find that like your tongue is raised by your larynx as it moves up. It might push the back of your tongue up a bit. You probably won't even notice it very much. So yeah. And importantly, the larynx moves the tongue up, the tongue doesn't move the larynx up, in terms of how we're trying to do this. So yeah, that's sort of where my head was at during that lesson. And sorry, there's some of the basics of vocal feminization in terms of like what we do. We just change these two factors, shed that weight, brighten up that sound, raising up that larynx, and that gives us our feminized voice. It's, as a process, it's a very simple process. It's basically 2 steps, but these are steps that most people don't do ever, just in their day-to-day lives. So most people don't like experience this. Like the only time you probably move your larynx significantly is when you swallow, and we don't want to use swallowing because a bunch of other stuff happens when we swallow as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of like learning of how to do this. Besides one that we've been doing today with Angelic, and I think this is Angelic's only Angelic's second lesson on size stuff, because we've been doing weight before. So there's just like, she needs to learn it, she needs to practice it. It's going to take a long time, because it's usually the most difficult part. For some people, their trickier thing is weight. For most people, I find size to be the trickier thing. And actually vice versa for feminizers. Usually feminizers have trouble with weight. Usually vice versa for masculizers, where they have trouble getting that heavier weight, but they find it a lot easier to descend their larynx to get that larger size. Just some interesting quirks there. Largely because like your vocal folds need a bit of extra space if they're going to be going for a thicker voice, a heavier voice, and so descending the larynx gives a bit of extra space. But obviously, if you're already having that extra space, then as we shed that weight, it's fine. And then having shed that weight, we now don't need as much space, so we can bring that size up again. So usually that tends to be people's best paths. And separately, because, and then also because for feminizers, because weight is easier, I do it first. If you imagine like the movement we just did, so again, if I go over here, I shed the weight and come over here, okay? This is our kind of like middle, like this is our stepping stone voice, okay? As we then change that to bring us to here, because we're doing this in like 2 steps, so that means we have a thing in the middle where we're just kind of in this awkward, unfamiliar voice. So I want to do the first thing to be the easier thing, so that when we move into this weird, unfamiliar voice, well, we use the easier thing to get into that. So then when we're moving to something that sounds more normal to us and we are more familiar with in a standard feminine voice, we'll go for the harder thing to do that. So that like we're at least not having the added difficulty of also moving to a weird sound that we haven't really heard much of before. Does that make sense? I don't know if I've explained that very concisely. It's like if we were moving to that weird space first and we're doing the harder thing, we've like layered on extra difficulty there. So swap them around, and it's only a small difference, but it's a marginally easier path. All of that said, that's not like an absolute. That's just, for most people, this seems to work. If you find that you find it easier to do the other way around, do the other way around. Like, it's, as long as you get to your final destination, who cares what path you took, you know? So, yeah. Diagnostic exploration was fascinating. Good. I'm glad you found it interesting. Yeah, if you guys have questions about, like, what I was thinking through the lesson, what we were trying to do, then by all means ask them. Diagnostic ones tend to be the harder lessons, because you've got to figure out what is this, what's happening here. And I'd say that was one of the more difficult diagnostic lessons. But yeah, usually you can get something from what people say in terms of like what they're feeling happening. That usually helps us a long way. Or just the sound change is a very, very clear change, and so you're immediately like, I know what this is. I think the large difficulty was that we had the whack-a-mole thing, and I think there was multiple conflations going on there. Like, I think we're going to still be doing... I think the next several lessons of Angelic are probably going to be some diagnostics to try and, like, pick apart the different things that are coming into this. Because, like, an accent change, that's first of all, a whole bunch of things go into accent. Second of all, why is an accent change coming into this? That's completely irrelevant. And, like, how do we even approach that? There's a lot going on in that. So, yeah. Just go through the things, essentially. Pick apart all these different changes that are happening so we can start separating the concept of those changes with the concept of changing size. So that when Angelic goes to change size, it's just size that changes. And she can have an understanding of, like, what size is and what it's like to change it. Yeah. All of these things with like trans voice, gender affirming voice, whatever you want to call it. This is all stuff where we're really focusing on isolated movements. So when we're moving a thing, it's the only thing that's moving. So you have more control of your voice, so you can move it in, like, the way you want to. And yeah, it just gives you more... Everything being isolated means that you can, like, you have more, like, agency, essentially. Like, if you can only move size and pitch together, then you're forced into a higher pitch if you want a feminine voice. But if we separate the two, now you have the choice. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people to be able to just... What voice do they want? Okay. So yeah, you'll see that across my approach, where we really isolate as much as we possibly can. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Right. Let's go to a totally separate subject matter. Unless you guys have any further questions on voice stuff. If you do have questions about voice, do just pop them in the chat. And I'll absolutely answer them as we go. Let's talk about what are we doing now? In the past, we've just had this big giveaway, and we've had a lot of focus on the giveaway, and the giveaway is now finished. Zach/Clara won, and that's done now. So what next? Well, first of all, looking at doing another giveaway soon. Still figuring out the logistics of it. Essentially, Trans Network doesn't have a great income right now. It's fine, and I'm fine, but I don't have money to invest, which means we can't really add to stuff, and I want to add to stuff. So what I'm thinking is where we're wanting, like, we're going to need some different assets and just people making pictures, basically. A banner would be good. Sorry. I wish this camera was slightly more zoomed out. It's very annoying, but it's not. But whatever. Yeah, we want some banners probably. Might be nice to have... We can't use them yet, but there's another project soon that will hopefully mean that we can eventually have some like emotes and stuff, which would be kind of cool. Main thing I'm thinking right now is we need a banner, and that can eventually be a Discord banner once we can do that. That can be a banner for YouTube. It can be used in other stuff we do. So I'm thinking we might do a competition where we just make a banner. It'd be like banner plus any other... If you just want to give a go at making another asset that you think might be useful, just give it a go. You can make some logos. You could make some... Just any Trans Network art, basically. And maybe we'll run a little competition. And then whoever's banner gets used, we'll do a little lesson giveaway for them. Sort of service for a service is what I'm thinking. So there's one thing we're thinking. I also need to revamp some of the Discord things. We need to redo the roles and stuff, which will be just get things a bit tidier. So I'm not having to like at everyone all the time. I can at the specific role of people that actually want the thing, so that people aren't just getting like spammed with pings. What else are we looking at? I was thinking of doing a what's a word? Like a business transparency channel or something like that. Something where like if you want to, you can ask me questions about like the business end of things. You know, because I want it to be like not a hidden thing. Like if you want to know about in what ways does Trans Network have like profit things going on, in what ways does Trans Network pay for stuff, it'd be good if like, you know, I'm down to tell you stuff about that. I don't want it to be a hidden thing. I like talking about money. It's a fun topic for me. And I like talking about like the business operations of Trans Network. You know, we're not a charity. This is my business. But at the same time, I'm providing a service for the trans community. And not everybody, it's a service that a lot of people find very, very necessary. So I don't want it to be like inaccessible. So there's like a balancing act there of trying to make sure that, I mean, there's also like the business end of, we're pretty small right now. So like just basic supply and demand, like there is more supply than demand right now. Demand is continually going up and there will quickly not be as much supply. But like there's still spaces for people to book lessons. So that means there's still slots that are just not doing anything. So yeah, that's another reason why prices are low, because we're trying to bring more business in. It's just like, yeah, basic supply and demand. But that is not lasting. We're getting very close to where we're going to be getting reasonably full. I am obviously still between my I'm still between Trans Network and my previous job of being a gardener. Hey, Soul Strings. Yeah, still balancing that out. So like Thursday and Friday, I still work my gardening day job. So, and they take up like the 9 till 5, which is, you know, that's like 40% of a week. So I'm hoping, probably looking at dropping that at the end of this summer season. So finish off those customers for the summer. And then the thoughts are that that would be enough time for like us to be in a position where we need more slots for more students, because we're running out of space. So yeah, I'm kind of, that's where the business end of things are looking right now. And yeah, it'd be good to have just a transparency channel so that like you guys get to ask questions like that and you get to feel like you know how Trans Network is operated, and you can just be allowed to know. It always feels weird to me when people hide that stuff, you know, like when people hide their amount of Patreons or hide their amount of Ko-fis or whatever. It feels weird to me, like you're like pretending to have less money than you do. Also, transparency is hilarious. So yeah, I don't want to be that kind of a person. You know, if like it's important to you to know how the business functions to like decide the decisions you make, then like yeah, you can have that information. That's completely fine. I think that's totally valid. So yeah, I'd like to do a little transparency part. Also, I just like talking business. I like talking shop. It's fun. Yeah, I always find those topics like interesting. Like I always really enjoy when like a YouTuber or streamers, especially streamers are very interesting money wise. When streamers are willing to just like go through their earnings and like what their different earning pathways are, how that tends to be split out, what the proportions are of different things. I love that content. It's just very interesting to me. Like, what is the proportion of like subs to ad revenue to sponsorship money, and like how does that work? I always found that very interesting. So yeah, I'm thinking a transparency channel would be pretty cool in the Discord, so people can know. I think it's is good to do. What else are we looking at adding? I know people were talking about a podcast, requesting that I start a podcast, which would be a huge amount of work. I'll be real. It's definitely not something that would happen soon because I simply don't have the time. But I like the idea. It's a cool idea. I think the idea that emerged between everybody was because again, I couldn't commit to like a weekly podcast. I simply do not have the time. But I could commit to a monthly podcast. I think I could do that. And if we do a monthly podcast, that opens the door to a lot, because if we only have to manage monthly, I don't need to generate as much, which means things that require more planning and stuff become more doable. So, for example, people were talking about what was the name people came up with? It was such a good name. Trans Voice Talk was just the name. It's cool. It's short. It's sweet. It is very clear as to what it is. It's also a nice little play on words. I like that name. Like a trans network. Trans network hosting the Trans Voice podcast, or Trans Voice Talk, or whatever it was called. The idea being, I bring a guest on that's like much later in their transition, or at least in their vocal transition. Just talk to them about their transition and how they've experienced it and what their life has been like as a trans person. And then at the end, we do like a reveal of like how much their voice has changed. Show their original voice. It'd have to be people that are comfortable doing that and are still able to do that. And like showcase how much they've developed their own voice, which I'm hoping is, so long as we do it right, then I think it could be a very sort of like, wow, well done, you've done so much, you've come so far, as well as like showing up to the audience like how much potential everybody has. Because I think it could be really eye-opening if people could hear like a variety of the different voices of like start point compared to finish point, because like the amount of movement someone can do is pretty shocking. I think people don't necessarily realize, like I'm constantly hearing things like, I have a really deep voice, I'm not sure how far I can go, I just want to go like as far as is possible for me. And it's like, no, I don't even care what your start point is. Whatever you want in your like perfect world, like that's what we'll go for. Let's get your voice instead of just like the best we can do. Everybody can move their larynx by a pretty huge degree. And everybody can change their perceptual weight by a pretty huge degree. So, yeah, I think it would be good for people to see how much movement there can be. Also, hey, me Huggy. Jane asks, can you describe how you began your vocal transition and what process you used to get to a point where you are now? Yeah, so in terms of a process, check out the weekly workshop because I go through the entire process. It's a big process, but I can give you, it's both a big process and a tiny process all at the same time. So in terms of how I began my vocal transition, it started off with me just looking at like YouTube videos and stuff and trying to learn that. Didn't really get much of anywhere with it. I think the information provided by channels like Trans Voice Lessons is good, but it's not very accessible. Beginners really seem to... I really struggled engaging with it at first. Like the sounds I was doing were just not... like, was not taking me anywhere. I was basically just moving pitch. I think her beginner introduction video is like, there's just too much of a pitch focus on it. I know what she was trying to do, but it's not very well communicated. Really, what you want to be focusing on as a brand new person is, first thing is learning some softies. They will not change your voice in any way, but they're going to teach you some good vocal habits and build some good vocal hygiene to make sure that everything is like how it should be before we actually start doing some voice training. Softies are... there's a whole... well, we have time. We can go into this. Softies are semi-occluded vocal tract exercises. Basically, semi-occluded just means partially closed. So vocal tract exercise where something's partially closed. To go into what this actually is, as you talk, as you make sound, what's literally happening is air is coming up from your lungs into your larynx, which is this big box of cartilage. People call it the voice box. Into your larynx, and in there are your vocal folds. All right, and that air, your vocal folds are closed. All right, the air starts building and pushing below it. All right, and as that air pressure overcomes the strength of the vocal folds, they then open. Okay, air pressure is released. That air is going down, so the pressure is going down again, so they start to close again. Okay, so what's literally happening is the air's pushing through your vocal folds, which, like, heck, that's a lot of pressure they're under. And like, it's more controlled than that. It's more like they're holding down the air pressure, and then eventually that gets overcome by the air coming out. But it's still this sort of interplay. All right, there's still a lot of air pressure your vocal folds are under. So for a warm-up, where we're going to be stretching them out a whole bunch, we don't want them in such a high air pressure environment. So what we do is we do a softie. So partial blockage, we're going to do that somewhere at the front of the mouth. Okay, as that air is traveling up through your vocal tract like a pipe, that air is going to hit that barrier that we make, and it's going to rebound and bounce back. And now some of that air is traveling back down the vocal tract. All right, back down the tube. Air up meets air down around where the vocal folds are. Okay, which means they're going to, the downwards is going to start counteracting and like essentially stopping some of the air going up. So now that that's stopping some of that air going up, there's less air pressure on your vocal folds. All right, that down cancels out some of the up. That makes sense? So now we have less air pressure. Then what we do is we start stretching things out by moving a pitch around. If you didn't understand any of that explanation, don't even worry about it. All right. Point is, this is a warm up. It stretches out your muscles, does muscle things, and does it in a healthy way. The way to do it, this is a bit you do need to know. There's a few different ways to do it, but some good ones are the lip trill. So if you try to figure that one out, imagine you're doing like a really like cartoonish horse neigh. Okay, or horse sigh or whatever. Then from there, add some sound into it. And try to hold it. Like sustain it, whatever. Then once you're there, you just start moving the pitch around. Okay, and you start moving your pitch around in like up and down in like incremental steps. So eventually you're moving up and down your full pitch range. And that's a softie. We're just stretching out by moving our pitch while having that blockage, which is our lips trilling. That's like a really good one to do. Again, for workshop, I spend like half an hour going through it. So Jane, if you're brand new, I would start there. And yeah, start there. It's not going to edit your voice, but it is going to, it's going to bring a bunch of, my brain is like turned off. It's going to help you with some really good vocal habits. It will help you move pitch in a more gentle way, because it'll encourage you to do that. Because otherwise you'll have, if you're not moving your pitch in a really healthy way, your sound is going to start doing this. You're going to have that cutting out of a sound. So play around with it, play around with pressures. Don't push for higher pitches, just gently slide up. And the lip trill will teach you to move things safely. Spitting all over your phone. Yeah, try not to, so we don't want like, or anything like that. Like, don't blow a raspberry. A drink. Don't blow a raspberry, just a nice gentle. If the lips stop trilling, or you're struggling with just the part of it, apply a little bit of pressure to your cheeks, and that will help you to stabilize the air pressure in your mouth. Just help you stabilize it a bit. Yeah. hopefully you're not spitting too much now. If you're spitting lots, I imagine you've got too much like pressure in your lips. You're going like a raspberry instead of it's nice and gentle in your lips. Your lips should be pretty relaxed for it. And yeah, so that's just going to teach you some really good vocal health. And like it's going to teach you to use your voice in a healthy manner. In case you're not, because I haven't heard your voice, and most people don't use pitch in a super safe way. Because like it's just not relevant most of the time. But for some of our exercises we'll be doing, we do need to make sure pitch is decent. And it'll also make sure that like there are a few different vocal health problems you might actually have, which this fixes. So when you go onto your actual practice and training, I can know that that's not like an issue anymore. So for example, if you barely speak, if you barely speak, so like some trans people will be voluntarily mute in that they're so like, they're so dysphoric about their voice that they just won't use it. And they'll literally like barely use their voices and only do it if they absolutely have to. These people will use their voice for less than an hour a day usually, and can get tired out from just like 20 minutes of talking. Like a 20-minute conversation will just wear them out. Like literally the muscles of their vocal tract will just get too tired. Like if you've just been to the gym. So in those cases, doing these softies are really going to help build that muscle back. Because if you're in that situation where you just barely ever speak or barely make a sound, your vocal muscles, they're going to start to weaken and atrophy just from not being used. It's just like if you don't exercise, your muscles atrophy and get smaller. Same thing with your voice. If you're barely using your voice, like less than an hour a day, then it's going to start weakening over time. So this brings that strength back again. It's not 2 weeks of it is not an instant cure, but it has me knowing that you're going to be in a much better place than you were 2 weeks before it. So yeah, and a variety of things like that can also help with like some mucus issues and stuff. So that doing those for 2 weeks just makes me know that you're in a good place, vocally speaking. And then as you go on from that, they just become your warm-ups before doing practice, before learning stuff. So your next thing would be an actual thing that changes your voice. So you start with your 2 weeks of softies, then you get your first actual vocal change. All right. That's going to be perceptual weight. I'm not going to go into the science behind these and why these are the things we're changing. Come to a workshop on Saturday if you're interested in that. Saturday, 7 p.m. GMT. In fact, Jane, if you're wanting to know like way more about this, check out your description, or the description for this stream. I have a link to the Discord. The Discord is where I do my teachings. There's a lot of free stuff over there. Big time recommend it. And we have makeup workshops, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so the next thing we'd be working on is weight stuff. So basically weight is the difference between me talking right now, where I have this really buzzy kind of a sound, and me talking right now, where I have a much gentler sound. If I drop things to my unmodified voice, this is my... Okay, yeah, I have to like figure it out again sometimes. If you're trying to go from your unmodified voice, all right, so like this is the very first thing you've done in vocal feminization, you're going to be moving from this kind of a voice, which is much buzzier, to this kind of a voice, which is much softer and much gentler, okay? So we're going to be doing that thing. And then after that, you'll be changing your vocal tract size, okay? So we call this resonance, and we call this larynx height, but we're going to be making the difference between this sound and moving this over to this sound here, okay? So you just got those 2 steps of weight and size, and that's how you do feminization. It's just 2 steps, but those steps take a lot of time learning, a lot of time practicing, because most people don't do that ever in their lives. You'll have some things, you will have lightened your weight before, or increased your weight if you are masculizing. So like whenever you yawn, you lighten your weight. Like if you go, if you can't try and talk like that, you'll notice it's immediately a light perceptual weight, which I can then bring up my resonance for, bring up my larynx height, reduce my vocal tract size, and I get back to my voice again. So yeah, if you've yawned ever, you've lightened your weight before. And also, the reason we're able to move our larynx is so we can swallow. So if you've swallowed ever, then you can also do this. So if you've ever yawned and you've ever swallowed, you've feminized your voice before. Both of those things incur a lot more things than just what we're doing. So we don't really use them as a training thing. Like, I don't want you using your swallow to learn how to move your larynx. I don't want you using your yawn to learn how to lighten your perceptual weight. But they're just proof that you can do it. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully I haven't lost you there, Jane. Workshop, that's where you should go. I spent like 4 hours explaining all of this in like much heavier detail than I am right now. But yeah. And also, to dispel any silly rumors that might occur, everybody can do this. Unless you have like a diagnosed issue. Like if you have some kind of swallowing disorder and you literally can't swallow, then maybe there's an issue where you like might not actually be able to do this. Even in those instances though, like if I had a student contact me, oh my god,
Ko-fi subscription from owner.
Yo, owner, thank you so much for subscribing to the Ko-fi. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Tier 2 support from, or tier 2 subscription from owner. Huge thank you. Holy shit. Wow, you didn't even like add a message or anything, you just gave me money. Thank you so much. I guess I'll take a minute to talk about the Ko-fi. If you want to support what we do, then you can support us over at the Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/transnetwork. It's because of the Ko-fi supporters that we're able to do a lot of what we do. So like that public lesson that a bunch of you just watched, that was free. All of our public lessons are free. Because other people get to gain from watching them. So I let them be free to encourage more people to do them. And the workshops themselves, they're also free. So that workshop I was talking about, Jane, if you head over to the Discord, you'll see like it'll show you it in your time zone. You can just watch through YouTube as well. You can watch like you are now. It's just YouTube. 7 p.m. BST, not GMT, BST. So like it's the +1 time zone. Yeah, that's also completely free. You can just come and it's totally fine. And you can also, if you want to, you can join through the Discord and you get to be part of the voice chat. And you get to, like, there'll be parts at the end where I go over people's individual voices. That all is free. And we have our free makeup workshops for the makeup artist that I hired. That was yesterday. And again, all of those things are supplied because of the Ko-fi members. So, like, if you appreciated the lesson we just did, if you appreciated the, or if you appreciate the workshops we do every week, or the monthly makeup workshop, then thank Ona right now. She's the one bringing that to you. So thank her. Yeah. Hells yeah. Yeah, super thank you, Ona. That's really kind of you. Thank you. Yeah. And if you want to be one of those supporters, then head over to the Ko-fi. But yeah. That's a Ko-fi. That's voice. And Jane, if you have more questions, go for it. I won't go over unless a bunch of people want to. If a bunch of people want to, we can totally go over it. If you want to go over like the drills and stuff and how we do for weight change and how we do the size change, because we don't just use imitation. That's really hard. We use like specific drills to teach us that. So like we'll do a drill for weight that lightens your voice, and you use that to like imagine the drill or like the exercise is the thing for like moves the slider. Okay. Because trying to move it on your own is really tricky if you haven't done it before. Yeah. It's a curse loop. You don't sound good, so you don't talk, and without practice, you make no progress and don't sound good. Rinse and repeat. Yeah. For people that are vocal underdoers that barely use their voice, for voluntary mutes, it's really hard. It's really tricky, and it's pretty sad. Because like, did you have any background singing? I'll ask that in a minute. But speaking of backgrounds, I forgot to put background music on. I'm very sorry. Let me add some music for all of you, so I'm not just like speaking into silence, and so that you guys can enjoy that. Also, you guys see Soul Strings in the chat? I bet you do. This music was brought to you by Soul Strings. So thank her for allowing me to use it. And to let me know if the levels are fine once this gets into it. Yeah, if you need me to edit the levels, just like say so. No, it's not Lofi Gal. This is like all sorts of really cool shit that that Soul Strings does. Okay, to cover it before going back to what I was talking about. Ona, you asked how could you get one-on-one lessons? If you head over to the Discord, so if any of you are looking for lessons, I do private lessons and I do public lessons. Public lessons are totally free. You just have to sign up and we book them and they're free. But they are within certain times. The private ones are during all the rest of the time, and those are £20 per lesson. And they're just like a private one-on-one call. The public ones are like public as in other people get to listen in on them, and they get streamed, and they go. Once I start doing YouTube videos, they will potentially be uploads. But yeah, they are still like a one-on-one, just with other people listening in. And yeah, if you're looking for lessons, join the Discord, and you're looking for there's like a one-on-one lessons section. You're looking for the #1on1 lessons channel. There's also a #help channel which just has some information in it, which is useful. And it's renamed, it's just like a #info or something, or lesson info. Yeah. If you're struggling to find, like if the #1on1 lessons isn't showing up for you, check in your channel list to just make sure it's like teched or whatever. Make sure you have it. Okay, I need to turn this down a whole bunch. Yeah. Yes. It was going back to what Soul Strings was saying and what Anna was saying. Was I was saying about vocal underdoers. Yeah, for vocal underdoers, it's a really tricky thing. Like people that are not using their voice because of like nerves, anxiety, and dysphoria. Like it's a really like I like the way Soul Strings has put it. It's a really cursed loop because their voice is getting weaker, which means training is harder. They're getting tired quicker and they can't do as much training at once. They need to build that muscle back as well over time. So there's that aspect. Also, training isn't instant. Training takes months, in the slowest cases, years. For me, it took about 8 months to produce this voice you're hearing now, and it took a few months to habituate it so that it became my default. Yeah, it takes a long time. So like, yeah, there's that element to it. The lack of hearing that change instantly makes people want to talk less. And because they're not talking as much, they can't control their voice as much. So that means they need more practice, which means like it's this cycle where things get worse and worse and worse. And everything feeds back into increasing the problem. If you are someone or you know someone who is doing this voluntary mute thing where they're so dysphoric about their voice that they just don't use it, really try to support them in breaking that cycle, because it just everything gets so much harder when you're in that position, and your mental health does suffer as well, because like the anxiety part of it starts to increase as you move further and further away from using your voice, because it becomes more and more of a big deal when you do use your voice, or if you have to use your voice. So like, yeah. And for if you know someone in that position, or if you're in that position, there's only so much I can help on the mental health side of that. I do recommend like therapy as well, because barely speaking and barely having spoken interactions is a big deal on your mental. Yeah. And there's a lot that plays into undoing that, because like literally choosing to never speak, there's more than just dysphoria going on, in my opinion at least. So that's a huge thing, to just stop using your voice, especially as a human. That's what we do, we talk to each other. Yeah. Yeah. Did I have any background in singing before vocal transition? Actually, no. Before everything with my voice, before transition, I had no voice experience at all. I think that's something that's ended up being a benefit for me going into teaching. It did obviously slow down my initial learning, but it means that as I've approached voice, I've gone in directly through gender affirming voice or trans voice, whatever term you prefer. I gone straight in from that angle. So that seems to have helped with like, one, just kind of understanding where people are at when they come in, if they haven't done any like voice stuff before, voice training, because that's most people. Most people aren't singers. Most people aren't voice actors or actresses. So yeah, it helps me to like, yeah, just know where people are coming from because they're coming from the same place I came from. It also helps to like avoid like conflating what is and is not necessary for training somebody's talking. Because when we're doing voice training for like feminization or masculinization or androgynization, this isn't, we're just teaching you to talk differently. This shouldn't be burdensome on your voice like singing might be. So I think people that come from singing backgrounds, and I see this a lot, I see that this is probably the most common issue I see in voice teachers. I see so much where people bring in these ideas that come from singing of like needing huge breath support, needing this diaphragm breathing, needing like this, all of this breathing stuff, and like the source of your voice stuff. And it's just not that necessary. Sure, if we're singing where we need that extra support, then yeah, but we're just talking. People don't do that to talk. You know, like most people aren't focusing on their diaphragm to be able to produce speech. They just kind of talk. So we don't need to be going into that like level of depth on breath support and stuff because it's just not necessary. Yes, you do need to use your diaphragm to breathe. Obviously, it's part of how you breathe. It's just what breathing is. But like, there is a to not go into super crazy detail. There is like two ways of using your breath support. We can have a more diaphragm focused thing, or we can have a more chest focused thing. In singing, you want that more diaphragm. You want to use like really efficiently use your body. For just talking, it doesn't matter. You could do it, but I'm not going to spend like weeks training someone on that for something that's not actually going to benefit them. It's a waste of their money. It's a waste of their time. It's them living longer with dysphoria. It's just unnecessary. Shouldn't be a massive emphasis on the role of diaphragm in relation to voice modification, in your humble opinion. Yeah, I agree. You'll notice I literally just won't ever mention the diaphragm when I'm teaching voice because it's just not necessary. Again, if you're singing, absolutely. But just to talk, no. Nobody does that. You know, you're not already, if it's not something that you're already doing to talk, then I don't know why I would be bringing it into talking like the opposite sex does. You know, cis men don't do like super huge breath support things just to be able to talk, and neither do cis women. So I don't know why the trans people would need to. Yeah, exactly. You can already breathe. We're fine. If you're breathing right now, if you're able to talk, we're fine. For that element of it, we just need to change the sounds being made. So that's a big one I see that people with singing backgrounds fall into. It's actually really sad. I see a lot of the quality of voice teaching is just abysmal. It's really, really sad. It's quite appalling actually. But like even people who are qualified speech language therapists or speech language pathologists, like doctors, they will have people on breath support for months, and I'm like, dude, like you're adding so much that's not necessary, and you're having somebody live with dysphoria and live with their symptoms for so much longer. I don't understand why you are doing this. You're wasting their time, you're wasting their money, and you're extending the amount of period they have to live in an uncomfortable position. Why would you do that? Yeah. If you're not breathing, FYI, I charge double price for using my necromancy skills. True. Yeah, if you're just not breathing, you don't need to go to me. You need to go to the hospital. Yeah. But yeah, all of this comes back to, no, I don't have a singing background. And I think that's actually benefited me. Because a lot of, I don't conflate things that are singing things with things that are voice things. Not to say that, like, or speaking things. Not to say that anyone with a singing background is bad. Like, that's certainly not true. There are a lot of very, very talented voice teachers who came in through singing, who came in through voice acting, who came even, there are talented, as much as we like to shit on them, because a lot of them are trash, but a lot of speech language therapists are good as well. There's good ones out there. There's just not many, unfortunately. Which I will, again and forever say, that it's insane that, like, the lowest quality voice teacher you can get is a qualified speech language therapist. They're the worst. Why are they the worst? I don't understand. Actually, no. Second worst. The worst is random YouTubers who don't know what they're talking about. They're the true worst. But, yeah, I don't know. It's very, very frustrating. I know Nat, the YouTuber Nat, has recently made a voice feminization video, and I will watch it, but I'm terrified to watch it because I like Nat. His content is good, it's funny, I enjoy it. He's not a voice teacher. I don't know. Maybe this lesson will be great, or this video will be great, and maybe he's consulted people, but also maybe he hasn't, and I don't know. And I don't want it to be trash. I don't want to have to shit on Nat. I like Nat. But yeah. They're usually good, not because they were told XYZ in an accessible way, but because they took the time, effort to figure it out themselves, omitting the process of proper explanation. Kind of. That's complicated. Okay. If you're getting voice lessons from someone, that someone should be able to show you that they can do both. They can, like, produce both vocal gender presentations, or, like, move the whole spectrum. You know, like, I can show you right now. Here's me doing a feminine voice. I can even show me doing, like, a much more like hyper-feminized voice. Or I can show myself doing a masculine voice. I can do all of these things. I can show you I can do them. I have a process for how I do this. I can teach you that process. If your teacher cannot do that, like, how are they going to teach you something they can't do themselves? That's nuts to me. That said, just because they can do it, necessary but not sufficient. Just because they can do it doesn't mean that they can teach it. They are two separate skills, and a teacher needs both of them. And yeah, you will also get a lot of YouTubers that they can do it, but they don't have a good system for it, but they think they can teach it. Examples like this, because fuck it, I am so small, and this is, this will not get enough views for anybody to notice it. But hell, even if I was big enough, I will still call out. Yep, the name is already in the chat. Yuko EX. The fuck. Just because you are capable of doing a feminized voice and a masculized voice does not mean you know how to teach it. Yuko, you don't know how to teach it. If you'd like to learn how to teach it, that's fine. I love that and I support that. Speak to some voice teachers. Actually do the learning. I don't understand. It's horrendous. Yuko EX and Princess Fairy Lucy are, like, my big ones there. And then you also get, like, I don't mind it as much because they don't present themselves as, like, voice teachers. They don't, like, sell lessons and stuff. But, like, a lot of the voice troll type people, or like the femboy category of YouTube, a lot of them will do, like, a video on how they do their fem voice, and it's like, I hear all sorts of shit. I hear people talking about the swallow and hold method. Jane, if you're still here, if you ever hear swallow and hold, turn off the video, or if they're in person, fucking run, because swallow and hold's really bad. You don't want to do that shit. Like, it will cause you injuries. But yeah, I mean, there are YouTubers that will do all sorts of shit, and they like either just are someone making a video because they can do a thing. I don't mind I don't mind the femboy types doing that video because they usually always start off with, I'm not a teacher, but this is how I do it. And like, if you know what, fine. Not a fan, but like I'm not too mad at it because the disclaimer's there. They're not presenting themselves as like a teacher. Yuko EX, Princess Fairy Lucy, or Fairy Princess Lucy. That's it, Fairy Princess Lucy. Those two do present themselves as teachers. They literally sell lessons. I think Yuka EX charges £70 a lesson, which is nuts for someone who doesn't know how the fuck to teach. Is nuts for someone who, I believe they finally took it down, but as of like a few years ago, I think even 2 years ago, had a video up instructing people to do swallow and hold, which for a lot longer than 2 years has been known as a very bad method that you should not do, with a high proclivity towards injuring people. So, like, yeah, what the fuck? You could have spoken to any voice teacher and they would have told you, no, don't do that. I don't know. It's very, very frustrating. And like, I don't want to gatekeep teaching. Like, if you want to get into voice teaching, I think that's wonderful, and I support you in that. Do the work then, you know? Just like you can't just like decide, I'm gonna be a dentist now, open up a clinic and start pulling people's teeth out. Like, no, you need to like go get educated, go learn how to do this. This is people's health, okay? Same thing with voice teaching. I fully support you in learning to do this and gaining that skill and knowledge. That's wonderful. We need more voice teachers. But I don't support people just going in and having like zero concern of quality of care, and zero concern for the people that are paying them, you know? You need to do this right. Otherwise, what's the point, you know? Other than you getting rich, I guess. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'm starting my drama arc. We're starting a drama arc where we're calling out some of these people because there is not enough accountability in this field. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, the bar is in hell. The level of quality is just not okay. And that's not just like random ass YouTubers. That's also like actual voice teachers. I saw. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I saw one voice teacher, okay? She had a fucking Facebook group or some shit that I joined. She'd written a book, okay? She'd written a book and she was selling a book, alright? And she didn't know shit. And I would challenge her on stuff and she would just kind of like push it aside or hand wave it or say that I'm wrong. And then after a while, she just closed down the group. You literally can't discuss, and to be clear, when I challenged her, it was like very gentle. Like, one insane thing that she was teaching people was for the masculizers to tuck in their chins as they talk, okay? Now, when you tuck in your chin, it does restrict things a bit and force you to push your larynx down a bit. Not much, but it does do it a little bit. Like, you can kind of hear in my voice, it's kind of changed a little bit as I've done this because I'm kind of restricted, so I can't really bring my larynx up as much as I'm wanting to. Which is going to masculinize things. It's going to enlarge that vocal tract size. It's not enough on its own, but whatever. Now, I respond to this like, I think it was just something along the lines of like, what's with the chin tuck thing? How does that relate to what we're trying to do here? So that's the level of gentleness that I would be going. Just like coming at it as just like a curious person, even though I know it's wrong. And her response was that, oh, look at cis men. They tuck their chins in whenever they talk. What? What fucking cis men have you been watching and listening to? Hello? Are we in a different reality? Men don't do this whenever they're talking. What are you talking about? That's made the fuck up. I don't know where she's got that from. I don't know who the men are in her life. But it's from fucking madeitthefuckup.com. I don't get it. I don't get it. She's a qualified speech language therapist. Like, she has the piece of paper. She works, or well, worked it presumably in like a medical department. What the fuck? It's just nuts. She's written a book and it's shit. Words cannot. It's very, very frustrating. Yeah, the level of care is very, it's very frustrating. I don't know why people don't hold themselves to a higher standard. So, yeah, it is what it is. All this to say, though, that doesn't mean every fucking coach but me is bad. There's lots of good coaches out there. Like, there's a lot of decent ones out there. There's just also a lot more bad ones. And it's really unfortunate. Yeah. There's a certain imbalance between anyone can start teaching versus there's clearly not enough well-educated and full awareness type of voice teachers. Yeah, anyone, to be super clear, all of these teachers I'm talking about could seek out the knowledge. I would support them doing that. I want them to do that. I want them to, like, my preferred outcome isn't that they just stop teaching. It's that they temporarily stop teaching, learn how things are supposed to be done, improve their quality, okay, and then start teaching again with that higher quality and bring that back to the field. Like, that sounds great. We need more teachers. Good teachers. So, yeah. That's what I want. That's my dream world, where every voice teacher tries to actually make sure that they know what the fuck they're talking about. What are some different habits of more and less successful vocal feminization students? Practice is a big one. Everybody says they do lots of practice, and everybody says that you are being mean or denigrating people when you say people don't do practice. People don't do practice. I was shit at practice. I was trash at practice, okay? And that doesn't mean you need to beat yourself up over it. You need to look at why you're not practicing. First of all, a lot of people, the intuitive way to practice is actually wrong. So you think that you need to like sit down for like an hour and do like an hour practice every day, and that's amazing. That's like some huge dedication. And hey, that's some huge dedication, but you're not going to learn a lot doing it. Really, I want people going for a little and often approach. So no more than 5 minutes for a practice session, and then do several of those through the day. The more you do, the better. If you can be doing like 3 practices a day, all between 1 and 5 minutes, like a 1 minute practice, that counts. That's totally fine. You'll save some time, because that's, let's say we are doing it 3 times a day, 5 minutes. That's 15 minutes instead of your 1 hour. And despite doing a quarter of the time, you're going to learn 4 times faster. Really 3 times faster, but yeah. Number of practices is the core thing, not the amount of time you spend on each of those individual practices. Or frequency over duration, I guess. Little and often. That's how you should be practicing. You can do those 1 hour sit downs if you're trying to figure out how to do a thing. So like if you're trying to learn the drill to actually be able to do it in practice, that's fine. Take as long as you need to just figure out how to actually do the drill. That's the equivalent of like having a lesson. Like a lesson can be a sit down hour because we're teaching you to do something. But practicing is just then going over that thing again and again and again. That is just you do it for 5 minutes, come back to it in an hour. Do it for 5 minutes, come back to it in an hour. If you're doing it like as fast as you can. Or, 5 minutes, 3 times a day. That's because you want to be coming back to it. And every time you come back to it, that's when you're building up that muscle memory again. So yeah, that's the biggest one. Just practicing, but also practicing correctly in terms of habits. Also, record your practice. What you really want to be doing when you practice, we want mindful and reflective practice. So firstly, you get out your phone or whatever and start recording, okay? Then you start off with your drill for whatever it is you're learning, your drill, and then you just take that drill to just talk, okay? I don't want you reading, I don't want you reciting lines. We all love a rainbow passage and we all love some heat from fire. But that's not going to be very useful to you. You're much better off just talking. Because that's what it's going to be like when you actually use your voice. So that's how you should train it. Also, if you pay attention, like, you have a reading voice, which is the same voice as your reciting something voice. It's very different from just your talking voice. So you really want to be practicing with your talking voice, and that's just gonna be like, talk about anything. You know, talk about your day, talk about what you've been up to last weekend, talk about your favorite Pokemon. I don't care. Just talk after doing the drill. And the drill, like, think of a drill as moving the slider, and then you try to keep that slider as you start talking. If the slider starts going down, use the drill to bring it back, and then start talking. So there's the other habit. Use the drill. The drill's there for a reason. Don't try to just go in cold. Use the drill to move the slider. Don't try to do it on your own. Eventually you'll be able to do it on your own, but that's like, you've basically mastered it already by the time you can stop using the drill. So once you're as good at the thing as I am, okay, you don't need the drill. Before that, just use the drill. That's what it's there for. Other habits for best students or whatever, most successful students. Oh yeah, as you're doing your practice, listen to your voice. Really listen to your voice. As it starts to, whatever slide you've been moving, as that slider starts to trickle down, you re-drill, okay? Really listen for that happening. Early on, you're not going to notice it as much. And that's fine. That's why we also record, so that when we can listen back afterwards and check our work. Did you miss any drops, okay? And as you're listening, you'll be like, oh, it's starting to drop there. I should have noticed that. And that's, you're training your ear by doing that, and we're training our muscle memory to get a more complete like learning experience. We're like maximally efficiently using our time. And to answer what's everyone's favorite Pokemon, my favorite Pokemon is obviously Charizard, because it's the basic bitch Pokemon, I know, but it's Charizard. Although, okay, favorite Pokemon is Charizard because Charizard's cool, and my childhood favorite was always Charizard. But the one that I have like the most like connection to, if that makes sense, the one that I like is like nostalgic for me is Blaziken, because I was a Pokemon Emeralds player. So it was Blaziken. Yeah. Also, I have a shiny Torchic. Fuck you. And a shiny Poochyena. I'm still building up my shinies. But I have 2 shinies on my Pokemon Emeralds cartridge. Legit shinies. Took me a long time. But hells yeah. Yeah, so those are going to be the main things. Like practicing regularly, practicing in the right way, following that little and often mindset. And then having a very active listening process going on in your practice, where you're using the drill for a start, using that to modify your voice, to move the slider, and then as you feel the slider coming down again, you use the drill to bring yourself back. And I guess remembering the drill is just the thing moving the slider, you then have to do some talking to like practice it being there. Otherwise you're not actually gaining anything. Yeah, I think that's everything off the top of my head. I should give you something useful there, Jane. Oh, vocal fry really messes you up at the minute. Vocal fry messing you up. So vocal fry shouldn't really impact you. It doesn't impact the gendering of a voice. Some people have fry, some people don't, and it's totally fine. If it's messing you up right now, I would imagine there's a bit more going on. First of all, is this something that happens more in the mornings, Ona? If you don't mind me going through this right now. Yeah, is that more of a morning thing by any chance? Also, while you respond to that, I need to go to the toilet. By all means, ask some more questions. I'll be right back. Yeah, morning? Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, of course. I'm happy to respond to people's questions. It gives us content, frankly. Yeah, mornings. Okay, so what's happening is you're experiencing some morning voice. Hey, Beanie Girl. That's my dog. Morning voice is basically your body is constantly producing mucus to form a protective layer across the vocal tract. All right. So it produces this mucus. Any dust, any particulates in the air that come through as you're breathing get caught up in the mucus as a protective mechanism so you don't get infected. That mucus is then you have these specialized cells called cilia, which are like little brushes, okay? They brush the mucus up so that you can then swallow it down, right? And then you digest it and it's all good. And threats neutralized. Yeah. Now, when you're sleeping, there's issues, okay? When we're sleeping, we stop swallowing because we're asleep, and your cilia reduce their activity, okay? They still do stuff, because otherwise that would cause huge issues, but they're not doing as much. They've slowed down significantly. So that whole process for clearing out the mucus is out the window. So now what's happening is that mucus is slowly building up overnight. You're still breathing, hopefully. So dust and particulates are still coming in, getting caught up in that mucus, but that mucus isn't going anywhere and we're still producing more of it. So by the morning, you've got this thick, sludgy, claggy mucus full of dust and shit in your vocal tract. That's causing you issues. It means you can't move as freely. It's going to darken your voice a bit. It's going to have you pretty stiff. Your vocal fry is literally like as your so this is your vocal folds doing normal phonation. As they do that, really they do like a Mexican wave thing. This is how they open and close. Okay. During that, okay, if I slow that down a lot, there'll be little like pops of air and like pops of like openings. So we have that like weird thing going on where there's just little like pops coming through. Okay. Because we're having those little pops of air, you hear each of those pops as vocal fry. All right. So when things are stiffer and struggling to move as much, we have those little pops of air escaping. And that's where you're getting that fry. The solution is very simple. If you do some softies will increase blood flow to your vocal tract, which will get those cilia moving, which in turn gets that sludgy mucus starting to be cleared away. You'll notice the reason it's only happening in the morning is because as you use your voice, it clears itself out and it deals like your body knows this is a thing that is already in your body. There is already a mechanism to deal with this. It's just called using your voice. But softies do all the stuff of using your voice, but like amped up because they're like a full stretch out. So do a bunch of softies. They're going to help clear out that mucus, which is going to help you just use your voice more and deal with that fry issue you're having. Also, plenty of water is also going to help because it'll make sure plenty of water in the morning, plenty in the evening, so that when we have that mucus going on, it's not quite as thick. So yeah, plenty of water, especially on the morning, because people often don't drink enough on the morning. I don't drink enough in the morning. I'm just as bad. I don't have any documentation, no. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, I will do it one day. It just takes a long time. There's just a lot of writing that needs to be done there. Thank you so much for the breakdown. Yeah, you're super welcome. So I just haven't had the time yet. But also too, documentation and like written instruction for voice always sucks. And it has to suck because one of the big things for teaching voice is you need to be able to hear the sounds being made. So like if I refer to size, that doesn't really tell you much. But if I say, oh, size is now you know what the change actually is. And like I can't demo a drill when I'm writing it. I can kind of try to describe it, but it's not going to be amazing. a lot of it comes from you need to hear me do it, be like, oh, that sound, and then do it. And a lot of it is going to be hearing yourself do it as well, and having someone to be like, yeah, that's correct. So yeah, written documentation just it's not ever great, which is why I try to just stream enough so that you can always catch one. Or like, you know, we have weekly workshops where we go through everything so that like you've got plenty of opportunity. But yeah, I do agree that some documentation coupled with other stuff can be a good thing. And I would like to do that at some point. Eventually, Trans Network will have a website. And on that website, that's probably where I'll do that sort of thing. Because then I can have it organized as well. So eventually, yeah. But one, just me having the time to do it. Because like there's a lot of work that goes into running Trans Network. Like even though I said like we do have slots that need filling with teaching, like at the same time there's a lot of work happening. And at some point that's going to be a thing of like, how do we make all this fit? But I'll figure it out when I figure it out, I guess. Because I've maybe initially been overzealous on how much I'm able to teach. Because like my initial thoughts with Trans Network were like, oh, treat it like a job, teach 9 till 5. Perfect. What I've now realized from doing it is work 9 till 5, yes. But there is a lot more work than just doing the lessons. There's like, that's like maybe half. There's so much. And like I enjoy it and I'm glad to do it. But like, fuck. There's a lot to it. There's a lot that has to be done behind the scenes. I've got like a million jobs I need doing. I'm straight up gonna be buying a whiteboard so I can write some jobs down on a whiteboard and do that. And yeah. Oh, it's okay, Owner. It's all just like tasks and stuff that I need to just get around to and stuff like that. But I appreciate the offer. What I will be doing, if it's something you're interested in, is through competitions and stuff. We're probably gonna, because I can't really afford to commission like artwork or any like assets for Trans Network, like graphical assets and stuff. So instead, I might do it as a sort of like competition thing where there'll be like a good prize that's worth it, being just like the competition we just did of a package of 6 free lessons. Like that's £120. That's decent as a payment for assets being used. It's a bit of fun having a competition. I quite like that. And yeah, it's sort of, I can't afford to pay you directly. Some people can't afford lessons with me. So let's make a deal. Service for service, being as neither of us have the money to make it circulate. I think that's something that could work well. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that. I'll probably start that up pretty soonish. Yeah. There's a lot of work of just like outreachy type things. Like I help a lot of people in a lot of other Discords other than just Trans Network. Which one is because it's good to help people and it helps keep me sharp, and two, like it's good outreach. You know, it brings people here. So like I try to keep on top of those as best as I can. I don't always do a great job, but I try. Can you recommend a vocal exercise to practice changing your voice from buzzy to soft? Yeah, so that's our weight stuff we were talking about. We've got a little bit of time. I need to finish up stream soon. Sorry. Firstly, head to a workshop. That's going to be the best place for you to go. If you're on YouTube right now, in the live section, there are all the past workshops. So you can watch any of those to go into this in more depth. But essentially, we're going to take advantage of the fact that it is easier to increase your pitch. There's a slight pitch weight connection in that it's easier to increase your pitch if you also lighten your perceptual weight. So I'm going to start off on a lower pitch and have a whole bunch of that buzz, okay? And then we're going to start sliding up in pitch. And because it's easier to go up in pitch as you lighten, most people intuitively will lighten as they slide up. If you're struggling, if you're just not lightening, keep going. Eventually, you'll hit your M2, your sort of falsetto thing. If you get there, you will falsetto features lightweight, so you're forced into it at that point. Once you've gotten to that lighter area, you like first familiarize yourself with it, and then bring it back down in pitch. while keeping that lightness. Okay, so full jaw sounds like this. Where I've kept that gentle sound, that soft sound, as I've gone down in pitch again, okay? And now you can hear that gentleness in my voice. Now, don't conflate volume. I kind of did that on purpose there to demonstrate. I went quieter there. I don't want you to go quieter, all right? When you go into even if in the drill you go quieter, in the talking portion, get yourself back to a conversational volume, okay? So if you're not conflating volume, it wants to sound like this. And then you continue talking like this, having this gentle thing. You're not sounding like this. We're having this gentle thing in our voice as we go on to some talking. And if your voice is sounding more like here right now, same thing, okay? And then continue doing some talking while we now have this really light perceptual weight. I'm still at the same volume right now. Hopefully you can tell the difference between the volume and the light weight. Some people mix those up. But yeah, you can hear that right now I have a very, very soft, gentle voice. Okay? And all I would need to do is raise my larynx up, bring that smaller vocal tract size or that brighter sound, whichever term you prefer, to get yourself to that last step. So yeah, use that pitch hill. That'll help you. If you're struggling, just keep going up in pitch. Eventually, you will have to lighten. Yeah. And then just practice the heck out of it. Yeah. Cool. Okay. We're probably going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. I need to take my dog out before doing my private lessons in the evening. Let's have a look through chat though, in case I missed anything. I feel like I missed stuff, but... Oh, you just realised that chin touching the chest is used in yoga? That's crazy. People doing yoga exercises to try and teach trans dudes how to talk. Nuts. Not necessary. Yeah, any other questions about stuff? And yeah, if people are looking for lessons, head over to the Discord. You're looking for the I'll check what it's exactly called. So it's a one-on-one category within Discord. It starts with #info. I did call it info, not how. Yeah, it starts with #info, and then is #101 lessons. And then under that is where your ticket will show up when you open a ticket. You'll want to open a ticket, and that's how we book stuff. It's also got the public lesson stage and a one-on-one lesson waiting room. If that's not showing for you, if none of that is on your screen, it should be under the Zara public inbox. If none of that's there on your Discord, go into your channels and roles and check that it's ticked. Because for some people, it doesn't tick itself. I don't know why. It just doesn't sometimes. Yeah. I don't know why it does that. But it does sometimes for some reason. It's very annoying. So some students don't see that, which is just really annoying. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking for lessons, you can get them over there. I'll take one more question, if any of you have another question, before we wrap up. Or I'll just wrap up in a minute. Yeah. Anything? One last thing, if you want some help with something. Also, drink water. Chatbot is telling you, drink water. Soul Strings is pinging Chatbot to make Chatbot tell you, drink water. You need 2 to 2.5 litres a day. That is important. Don't skimp on that. That's going to make voice stuff a lot harder if you're not staying hydrated. That is actually quite important. How's drinking now? Good. I've already drank. This is the end of my 2 litres today. So I'll probably have 3 litres by the end of the day probably. Right, okay, let's wrap up then. So, firstly, thank you all so much for coming. It's really cool when you guys are coming and you're engaging with chat. Makes my job easier because I have stuff to talk about. And it's just cool. I like it. I like you guys being here. Huge thank you again to Ona for membership, tasting membership. That's really incredible of you. So thank you so much. That's really amazing of you. And yeah, thank you all for being here. Next things for you to check out. Do we have anything tomorrow? I should double check. I thought we had a public lesson tomorrow, but apparently not. So probably next thing is going to be on Wednesday, starting at 1 o'clock BST. Look it up, whatever that is in your time. We have a public lesson with Liz Mara at 1 o'clock, and then we'll be just continuing to stream until 4 o'clock, where we have another public lesson. Oh wait, no, we do not. That's a private lesson. I should double check that is definitely a private lesson. In that case, we'll be finishing up at 4 o'clock that day, if not a bit sooner, so that I can have that private lesson. Okay, thank you all so much for coming. Oh, and check out the workshop on Saturday. That's like our main thing that we do here at Trends Network. Every single week, apart from Saturday, because I just didn't have the time, because this week has been mad, but the coming up week, or no, last week was mad. This week should be less mad. So yeah, check out the workshop. That's going to be it's probably the best resource we do, and it's definitely our main event. So yeah, check it out. You'll learn a lot. If you want lessons, you know where to get lessons. All right, I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Nice to meet you, Jane. I'm pretty sure you're new. And yeah, see you Wednesday, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, maybe tomorrow. Okay, right, I'm going now. Stop streaming. Yes. Okay. Goodbye.